Now, if you're ever in any doubt about just how intellectually barren, how exceptionally stupid the View co-hosts are, then watch this performance from Whoopi Goldberg, real name Karen Johnson.
The courtroom was completely full, and there was a buzz of excitement throughout the room. There was a flurry of activity as reporters competed for the best seats, and cameras were flashing quickly to capture every dramatic moment. This was a sensational showdown between two giants from completely different worlds. Elon Musk, the outspoken billionaire tech mogul, and Whoopi Goldberg, one of Hollywood's most beloved yet controversial stars. Nobody had anticipated this, but it was a showdown that everyone was talking about. The moment Musk stepped onto the witness stand, the atmosphere was charged with excitement and anticipation. Goldberg, who was seated across the courtroom and appeared visibly tense and anxiously awaiting what Musk had come to reveal, was the focus of his eyes. Because everyone in the room was aware that they were witnessing history in real time, they all held their breath. At the moment that Musk started speaking, Goldberg's face, which is typically animated and full of self-assurance, appeared unusually pale. He asserted that he was in possession of explosive evidence that had the potential to not only shake Goldberg's reputation, but also send shockwaves through the media landscape and Hollywood generally. Musk made the announcement, his tone measured but dripping with barely concealed intensity, that the truth comes out today. With eager anticipation, the spectators leaned forward and widened their eyes. Clearly unprepared for the bombshells that Musk had promised, Goldberg's legal team showed signs of nervousness as they shuffled around. However, what exactly was Elon Musk going to reveal to the public? Was it possible that Goldberg had engaged in dishonesty, manipulation, or something even more wicked? Or was Musk taking a risk while putting his own credibility at risk in a risky gamble? During the time that Musk was getting ready to present his evidence, Goldberg's eyes sparkled with emotion, indicating to everyone that this was not a typical celebrity feud. Rather, it was a personal issue that could potentially have devastating consequences. And as the attorney for Musk handed over a folder that had been sealed to the judge, the entire courtroom was aware of one thing that was certain. After today, neither Goldberg nor Musk would ever be the same. Nevertheless, the question that remained was, who would be able to survive this explosive confrontation in the courtroom? The explosive confrontation that took place in the courtroom between Elon Musk and Whoopi Goldberg did not appear out of thin air. Rather, it was the fiery culmination of months of escalating tensions and bitter public exchanges that polarized the nation. Social media, which Musk famously now owned and controlled after purchasing Twitter, rebranding it to X, and promising to make it a beacon for unrestricted free speech, was the setting in which their conflict began. It was the most public arena that could possibly be imagined. It all began in a relatively harmless manner. Goldberg, known for her outspoken views and powerful presence on television, sharply criticized Musk's bold changes at X. On her daily talk show, Goldberg accused Musk of creating an environment of unchecked misinformation and toxic discourse, warning viewers that the billionaire was dangerously irresponsible and actively enabling harmful online behavior. Musk, never one to back down from criticism, quickly fired back on his own platform. In a series of cryptic yet pointed tweets, Musk questioned Goldberg's sincerity and integrity, hinting that he knew secrets about her past, secrets that, if revealed, would drastically change how the public viewed her. Followers on both sides eagerly watched as the online war of words escalated. Goldberg's remarks became more and more scathing, and he referred to Musk as an egomaniac whose reckless actions posed a threat to democracy and public discourse. The tone of Musk's responses became more ominous and gloomy, which gave the impression that Goldberg's outrage was motivated by personal reasons rather than genuine concern. Over the course of several weeks, their interactions garnered an increasing amount of media attention, thereby dominating news cycles and sharply dividing public opinion. Celebrities, political pundits, and influencers jumped into the fray, amplifying the feud. But beneath this public drama, something deeper simmered. A fundamental clash between Hollywood's influential figures and Silicon Valley's powerful tech magnates. Then, the tension exploded into legal action. Musk filed a lawsuit against Goldberg for defamation, accusing her of intentionally spreading damaging falsehoods about his character and his management of X. Goldberg was named as the defendant in the lawsuit. Goldberg dismissed the lawsuit as an attempt to silence her, but behind closed doors, her legal team became increasingly concerned about the situation. It was suggested by Musk's legal team that they possessed evidence that was credible enough to destroy Goldberg's meticulously constructed public image. It had been months since their hostilities had escalated, but at long last, the stage was set for their epic courtroom confrontation. It was no longer just a personal battle. It was a symbol of two massive industries, entertainment and technology, colliding head-on in a sensational showdown, with the whole world eagerly watching to see who would prevail. When Elon Musk calmly stood up from his seat, he was holding a folder that contained documents that promised to shake the foundations of Hollywood itself. The entire courtroom appeared to hold its breath as he did so. Whoopi Goldberg watched tensely, her eyes narrowing with anxiety. Musk's composure was unnerving. He clearly knew he held something powerful, evidence so damaging that Goldberg's legal team visibly stiffened. In the beginning, Musk began by outlining his accusations, maintaining a steady and clear voice. It was his accusation that Goldberg was the mastermind behind a deliberate campaign of disinformation that was designed to undermine his reputation as well as the credibility of his recently acquired platform, which was formerly known as Twitter. After that, he disclosed the shocking nature of his evidence, which consisted of a collection of emails, messages that were protected from public view, and financial records that directly connected Goldberg to a clandestine network of media operatives and influential figures who were working behind the scenes. While the documents were being presented to the judge by Musk's attorney, the atmosphere in the room became increasingly tense. Musk turned directly toward Goldberg, his gaze piercing. "It is Ms." In public, Goldberg has presented herself as a defender of the truth. However, these documents give the impression that she is not. Musk stated this in a chilly manner. "They show a deliberate, coordinated attempt to undermine not just me personally, but to manipulate public perception for political and financial gain." A series of gasps could be heard throughout the courtroom as Musk continued to elaborate on his evidence. One email, which was purportedly written by Goldberg herself, discussed in detail the plans to encourage media partners to portray Musk's management of X as being dangerous and irresponsible. It included specific instructions on how to frame stories and when to release negative information in order to cause the greatest amount of damage to Musk's reputation. Another series of messages revealed Goldberg actively communicating with influential figures, both in Hollywood and prominent media organizations, strategizing how to discredit Musk's image and paint his actions as harmful to democracy. Musk pointedly accused Goldberg of using her celebrity status to deliberately spread false narratives, damaging his business and reputation purely for personal and ideological gain. But the most devastating revelation was yet to come. Musk allegedly produced financial records that linked Goldberg to funding for coordinated anti-Musk campaigns. Some of these campaigns involved third-party activist groups and high-profile media figures who are known to be hostile towards Musk. Musk's voice hardened as he presented these documents, declaring confidently that Goldberg had actively and financially supported groups intent on destroying his business credibility and silencing his public voice. Goldberg appeared visibly shaken throughout the entire process of revealing this explosive evidence. At various points, she covered her face in disbelief and exchanged frantic whispers with her attorneys throughout the entire process. Musk's carefully presented accusations caused her normally self-assured demeanor to crumble under the weight of the allegations. Her legal team was in a state of panic, frantically raising objections, questioning the authenticity of the evidence, and accusing Musk of selectively editing the evidence. On the other hand, the damage had already gone in. Reporters were taking notes furiously as they recognized the seriousness of Musk's claims, which caused the courtroom to buzz with activity. In real time, journalists' Twitter updates, which sparked an immediate frenzy on the internet as the general public processed the implications of the situation. The revelations made by Musk were not simply an attempt to protect his own reputation. Rather, they were a direct assault on the honesty of one of the most influential stars in Hollywood. And just as he was finishing up his presentation of evidence, Musk turned his attention back to Goldberg and made his concluding, chilling remark, "The public deserves better. Today, I intend to prove that no celebrity, no matter how powerful, is above accountability." As a result of the subsequent hushed silence, everyone was able to comprehend the gravity of Musk's allegations. As a result of Musk's explosive evidence, Goldberg's reputation, which had been carefully constructed over the course of several decades, was now hanging by a thread. And despite the fact that the court had not yet reached a decision on the matter, there was one thing that was certain. Elon Musk had just released a bombshell that would send shockwaves throughout Hollywood, Silicon Valley, and beyond, thereby irrevocably altering the way the public viewed both Goldberg and the tech billionaire himself. After Elon Musk had finished presenting his explosive evidence, the attention of the courtroom shifted sharply to Whoopi Goldberg. Goldberg was a beloved actress, a comedian who made millions of people laugh, and a voice that millions of viewers trusted every morning. She had been an unstoppable force for decades. The entire legacy of Goldberg appeared to be on the verge of disintegration at this moment, when it was illuminated by the unforgiving light of the courtroom. Over the course of her career, Goldberg had successfully navigated controversies by utilizing her charm, wit, and inherent charisma. On the other hand, the woman who had won hearts with her wit and fierce authenticity appeared shaken, vulnerable, and undeniably afraid today. The accusations that were made against her, which included intentionally spreading false information, concealing alliances, and manipulating finances, were not merely a matter of legal trouble. They struck at the very core of her legacy. The legal team representing Goldberg made a valiant effort to counter Musk's devastating presentation by vehemently arguing that the evidence was misinterpreted and intentionally misleading. They highlighted Goldberg's lifelong activism, charity work, and tireless advocacy for social justice, portraying her as a victim of Musk's personal vendetta. They also highlighted her lifelong advocacy for social justice. The legal team representing her repeatedly asserted that the evidence presented by Musk was a skewed narrative that had been pieced together in a selective manner with the intention of smearing her reputation and silencing her powerful voice. However, Goldberg herself appeared to be finding it difficult to deal with the weight of Musk's accusations. On the witness stand, she was confronted with a barrage of difficult questions about emails, financial records, and covert meetings that she was unable to easily explain. Her normally assertive voice wavered as she made her way through the questions. The composed public figure who had spent decades dominating conversations was suddenly forced into uncomfortable territory, which included being defensive, uncertain, and emotional. In the midst of her response to Musk's attorney, Goldberg's eyes welled up with tears. "This isn't who I am," she pleaded, looking directly at the jury. "I have spent my entire life telling the truth to those in power and not keeping secrets. The claims made by Elon Musk are not true. They were made up to silence me." Her denials, on the other hand, sounded fragile in comparison to Musk's accusations, which were meticulously documented. Those who were paying attention started to realize how serious her predicament was. If Musk's allegations were to be proven true, Goldberg's reputation would be irreparably diminished. Her carefully crafted empire, which included her presence on television, her legacy in the film industry, and her influence as a public figure, was on the verge of collapsing severely. While this was going on, the media rushed in to record every single emotional moment. There is a significant divide in opinions on the internet, with hashtags such as Whoopi Exposed and I Stand with Whoopi engaging in a fierce disagreement across various social media platforms. In an effort to rally support for Goldberg, supporters insisted that she was the target of a personal vendetta held by a billionaire. Her detractors, on the other hand, pointed out that she was hypocritical and dishonest, and they predicted that her once iconic career would never recover. While Whoopi Goldberg sat in silence and fought back tears, the entirety of the courtroom and the world that was watching were aware that this trial was about more than just the legal repercussions. It was about the unraveling of a legacy that had been ensconced for decades, and the stakes had never been higher than they were at that moment. The media went into a state of complete and utter disarray as the shocking courtroom drama between Elon Musk and Whoopi Goldberg continued to unfold. Within minutes of Musk presenting his explosive evidence, headlines flashed across news channels all over the world, social media platforms ignited with heated debates, and the public found itself sharply divided because they were unable to look away from this unprecedented celebrity showdown. Both Twitter and TikTok saw a surge in the use of hashtags, which almost immediately became the most popular trending topics. Trending on a global scale were the hashtags #Whoopi Musk, #WhoopiGate, and #Musk Bombshell, which drew millions of people into a heated discussion. Journalists were frantically trying to make sense of the evidence that Musk had presented in court, and they dissected every single detail, document, and photograph that he had done so. Panel discussions on television were filled with legal analysts, celebrity insiders, and political commentators, all of whom were attempting to decipher the truth that lies behind the shocking revelations. The responses of celebrities were extremely varied, which added fuel to the fire of the frenzy. Some prominent figures in the entertainment industry cautiously defended Goldberg, calling Musk's actions into question and suggesting that he was attempting to silence an outspoken critic by utilizing his wealth and power. However, others remained eerily silent, unwilling to publicly defend Goldberg, which raised suspicions about the extent to which Musk's accusations might actually run within the power circles of the entertainment industry. The fans were sharply divided as a result of prominent public figures taking sides in the conflict. The bravery of Elon Musk was lauded by conservative commentators such as Tucker Carlson, who asserted that he was exposing a Hollywood machine that had been exercising unchecked influence for decades. Elon Musk, on the other hand, was accused by progressive voices of using his enormous wealth to attack Goldberg in an effort to stifle criticism and intimidate anyone who dared to challenge his authority. Similar levels of fervor were expressed by the public. Musk's supporters rejoiced online, praising him as a champion in the fight against hypocrisy and corruption, and eagerly amplifying his claims through memes and videos that went viral. During this time, Goldberg's supporters came together in a ferocious manner, organizing hashtags such as "Where's Justice for Whoopi?" and insisting that she was the target of a carefully orchestrated smear campaign by one of the wealthiest men in the worldwide community. On the other hand, beneath this intense public conflict, more profound questions surfaced. Was Musk genuinely fighting against corruption and manipulation? Or was this confrontation merely an attempt to control the narrative surrounding his controversial decisions? Could it have been that Goldberg was the target of a character assassination? Or had the well-liked celebrity actually concealed secrets that were so upsetting that they threatened to destroy the image she had painstakingly constructed? There was one undeniable truth that emerged amidst the chaos that was the media. This was not your typical celebrity feud. An explosive collision occurred between Hollywood and Silicon Valley, truth and power, influence and accountability. It was a collision that was explosive. It became abundantly clear that Elon Musk's confrontation with Whoopi Goldberg was not merely a court battle. Rather, it had sparked a war for truth and public perception, and neither side would emerge unscathed. This realization came about as hashtags became increasingly popular, public opinion became more intense, and the media continued to produce infinite analysis. Both Hollywood and Silicon Valley were thrown into disarray as a result of the courtroom drama that occurred between Elon Musk and Whoopi Goldberg. The dramatic situation quickly escalated beyond a personal dispute. At the same time, prominent figures from both industries were abruptly compelled to choose a side, respond publicly, or face unrelenting scrutiny for their silence. The response from Hollywood was shockingly muted, despite the fact that Musk's explosive revelations were dominating the headlines. The typically outspoken celebrities, who were known for their frequent public statements on various social issues, remained noticeably silent. A significant number of Goldberg's closest allies, including longtime co-hosts from The View, have only provided cautious and generic statements of support, taking care not to directly endorse or condemn her. Despite the fact that she is frequently vocal about issues concerning her close friends, Oprah Winfrey did not issue a statement. The public's suspicion that Goldberg's exposed secrets might implicate other powerful figures in Hollywood's inner circles was only heightened as a result of this eerie silence. Nevertheless, not everyone maintained their silence. A few actors and media personalities spoke cautiously in support of Goldberg, describing Musk's actions as an unfair public spectacle and accusing him of weaponizing personal vendettas. Goldberg's defense was cautious, but their voices were drowned out by the deafening silence from Hollywood's most influential stars, which included actors, directors, and producers who appeared to be desperate to avoid association with Goldberg's growing scandal. In the meantime, Silicon Valley reacted in a strikingly different manner. Powerful tech leaders openly backed Musk, applauding his bold stance against what they characterized as media manipulation and hypocrisy. Tech investors and CEOs, including figures like venture capitalist David Sachs and prominent industry commentators, praised Musk for exposing what they claimed were deliberate attempts by Hollywood and media elites to control narratives and stifle dissent. Conservative media figures, notably Tucker Carlson, amplified Musk's revelations aggressively, framing the courtroom battle as a fight for free speech and accountability against powerful Hollywood insiders. In the segments that Carlson aired, Musk was portrayed as a courageous whistleblower who courageously exposed hidden corruption among the elite of the American entertainment industry. This differentiation quickly made its way into public discourse, resulting in a split of opinion across various social media platforms. Goldberg's devoted supporters, who believed that she was unfairly targeted, and Musk's fervent defenders, who were convinced that he was courageously exposing powerful and corrupt influences, engaged in heated debates on social media platforms such as Twitter and Reddit. In the midst of all this upheaval, corporate sponsors and advertisers started to distance themselves from Goldberg out of fear of becoming embroiled in the scandal that was developing. Goldberg's humiliation was further amplified by the fact that major brands quietly terminated contracts, ceased endorsements, or put marketing campaigns on indefinite hold. The conflict between Hollywood and Silicon Valley was not merely a personal feud. Rather, it had evolved into a cultural conflict that was of defining importance. The assault that Musk launched against Goldberg was not simply an attempt to expose secrets. Rather, it was a declaration and a symbolic challenge against the established Hollywood influence. Their confrontation sent shockwaves through public discourse, permanently altering perceptions of celebrity, power, and accountability. As the two industries squared off against one another, the public discourse was stunned. As the nation continued to be captivated by the sensational courtroom confrontation between Elon Musk and Whoopi Goldberg, legal experts began analyzing the strength of Musk's case. Their evaluations painted a picture that was both dramatic and uncertain. A number of prominent legal scholars have pointed out that Musk possesses a strategic advantage. His presentation, which was meticulously documented and included emails, financial records, and messages, appeared to be exceptionally comprehensive. Attorney Gloria Allred, known for her high-profile celebrity cases, commented, "Musk's attorneys clearly did their homework. The level of detail and organization is impressive. Goldberg's team faces a steep uphill battle." However, there were others who cautioned against it. In a public statement, the well-known defense attorney Mark Garagos argued that Musk's evidence, despite being compelling, involved circumstantial evidence. Presenting carefully selected emails and financial records doesn't automatically prove defamation or malice, Garagos explained to reporters. Goldberg's defense has plenty of room to challenge the intent, authenticity, and context of Musk's allegations. In addition, the experts discussed the more far-reaching implications of Musk's lawsuit. Alan Dershowitz, a professor of law at Harvard, pointed out that Musk had a significant burden to prove actual malice, which meant demonstrating that Goldberg intentionally and knowingly spread falsehoods. It was explained by Dershowitz that public figures are afforded a significant amount of legal protection. Musk must prove that Goldberg deliberately misled the public. Mere criticism isn't enough. There is a possibility that the public's expectations regarding defamation cases involving influential figures could be altered as a result of the high-profile nature of this trial. UCLA's legal expert Jennifer Peters warned that a Musk victory could set a chilling precedent. If Musk prevails, we may see a wave of powerful figures using lawsuits as a tool to silence critics. Ultimately, legal experts agreed on one thing. Musk's explosive courtroom presentation significantly shifted public perception, handing him a powerful narrative advantage. Goldberg's experienced legal team, on the other hand, still had opportunities to counterattack, which cast doubt on Musk's claims and motives. The drama that was taking place in the courtroom had developed into something much more than a defamation lawsuit because there was so much at stake, including personal reputations, corporate interests, and the boundaries of public discourse. The conflict had evolved into a conflict over the very nature of truth, the power of celebrities, and accountability in the United States. The explosive confrontation that took place in the courtroom between Elon Musk and Whoopi Goldberg was not simply about a personal feud. Rather, it was rapidly becoming a defining battle in a much larger struggle, the fight for free speech and media control in the United States. There are profound questions about the limits of expression, the responsibilities of influential public figures, and the growing power struggles between tech giants and traditional media that lie beneath the dramatic accusations, shocking revelations, and emotional exchanges that have taken place. Supporters of Elon Musk passionately framed the trial as a pivotal moment in safeguarding free speech. They argued that Musk's aggressive stance was not just self-defense, but an urgent response to what he saw as a dangerous trend: powerful media figures using their platforms to manipulate public perception and silence opposing voices. Musk himself had consistently positioned his purchase of Twitter, rebranded as X, as a crusade to restore genuine freedom of expression. This trial, many argued, represented the very heart of Musk's mission to challenge entrenched media powers. Yet Musk's critics presented a starkly different narrative. They accused the billionaire of using his immense wealth and influence not to defend free speech, but to intimidate and silence critics like Goldberg. Prominent media figures warned that a victory for Musk might set a dangerous precedent, empowering other wealthy individuals to weaponize lawsuits against journalists, critics, and outspoken public personalities, effectively stifling genuine debate. Organizations that advocate for civil liberties kept a close eye on the trial and expressed their concern about the wider implications. In a public statement, the American Civil Liberties Union issued a warning that the potential impact on public discourse was chilling, regardless of the outcome of the trial, advising that the threat of expensive litigation could discourage honest criticism and investigative journalism. They emphasized the importance of giving careful consideration to the impact that the trial will have on the right to free expression. Goldberg's supporters, on the other hand, interpreted Musk's actions as a calculated strategy to shape narratives and silence opposition. There was widespread concern that this case exemplified a disturbing new reality: influential individuals employing legal strategies to exert control over public perception, employing litigation as a weapon to punish dissent rather than engaging in civil discourse. The public debate became more heated as the court drama continued to unfold. Universities, think tanks, and public forums convened urgent discussions exploring the potential fallout. Some individuals expressed concern that the trial had the potential to further polarize American society by further dividing political ideologies and cultural factions, which were already quite distinct. In the end, this conflict between Elon Musk and Whoopi Goldberg represented a great deal more than straightforward animosity between the two individuals. Consequently, it brought up fundamental questions concerning the truth, influence, and the increasingly hazy boundaries between power, the media, and the right to free speech. Regardless of which side emerged victorious, the repercussions would be felt far beyond the confines of the courtroom, influencing the manner in which the United States navigated the intricate and crucial balance between safeguarding the right to freedom of expression and holding influential voices accountable. The question that predominated the minds of the general public as the courtroom drama between Elon Musk and Whoopi Goldberg raced toward its climax was, who would ultimately emerge victorious from this explosive showdown? Elon Musk had painstakingly constructed his case, presenting damaging documents and shocking revelations with the intention of undermining Goldberg's credibility and reshaping the public's perception of the situation. As a courageous defender of the truth who boldly exposed media manipulation, his supporters viewed him as a courageous figure. On the other hand, his detractors portrayed him as a powerful billionaire who engaged in abusive behavior in order to stifle dissent. In the meantime, Goldberg, who had previously been regarded as untouchable, was now confronted with the possibility of her entire public persona collapsing. In addition to these two prominent figures, this trial had a profound impact on numerous people throughout society. This case served as a test for the principles of free speech and accountability in the media, as well as the terrifying possibility of legal warfare between powerful interests. Famous people in Hollywood watched with apprehension, fully aware that if Musk was successful, it could open the floodgates for other lawsuits of a similar nature, thereby permanently altering the dynamics of celebrity influence. In a similar manner, representatives from the technology industry awaited the verdict, fully aware that it would either strengthen Musk's influence or weaken the dominance that he had sought through his controversial ownership of X. However, in the end, it was the American public that watched with apprehension, since they were caught between two compelling narratives and were unsure which truth to believe. Are the allegations made by Musk going to permanently tarnish Goldberg's reputation, thereby reshaping the way in which Hollywood celebrities could use their influence? Or would Goldberg be able to weather the storm, demonstrating that even billionaires like Musk are unable to silence voiceless critics without facing the consequences of their actions? Legal experts continued to be divided, and they were unable to confidently predict who would emerge victorious for the case. However, there was one thing that was certain. The conflict between Elon Musk and Whoopi Goldberg had fundamentally altered the relationship between Hollywood, the media, and Silicon Valley. It had left behind deep scars and questions that had not been answered. With the knowledge that this verdict would not only determine the fate of Musk and Goldberg, but it would also define the boundaries of truth, influence, and free speech for generations to come, the entire world held its breath as the jury prepared to deliberate.